7 or 8 Charakaraka. See, he said we could use either 7 or 8. The ability to differentiate between similar bodies due to ahankara and manas and buddhi. I'll describe this later. And in the case of living beings, the jivatma, the charakaraka or temporal significator. Charakarakas represent jivatma normally. Karaka means significator and chara means movable, changeable, indicating a temporary state. So you are having a temporary charatma karaka for this life. You will have another one in next life, and they'll keep moving and changing. Now, these schemes, there are 2 charakaraka schemes. One is for the inanimate material creation or body, called the Sapta Charakaraka chakra. Sapta Charakaraka chakra. These are the grahas from Sun to Saturn and exclude Rahu. So the understanding is the same. You had Sthira Karaka which excluded Rahu, so you can have Charakaraka which also exclude Rahu. They are for the inanimate. We call these Jada Atma. Jadatma. They are not moving, they are fixed. They do not live per se. They do not breathe. They stay fixed. Is a tree a Jadatma or Jivatma?
Jadatma.
But it breathes, it grows, and it eats.
Photosynthesis can be described as eating.
Yes.
And produce new trees.
Right?
And produce new trees.
Yes. But so that it's able to reproduce, right?
Yes, reproduce. So
Yes.
should be.
And if you break a branch of it, that branch dies.
Yes.
So, and if you cut the tree, it dies. It doesn't just grow into a new tree. It doesn't become new parts. So it's a jivatma. The other chakra is for the living spiritual bodies having a jivatma called the Ashtacharakaraka chakra. It includes Rahu. Rahu is included among the Atma as the Jivatma. So it's in the Jivatma scheme of 8 Charakarakas. Because Rahu is the most exploitive graha in the zodiac. Rahu is the most exploitive. And Jivatmas are those which exploit nature. Jadatmas don't exploit nature. Means use, utilize. Exploit is also a negative way of saying they take advantage of. We take advantage of nature. Right? Look at this place. There's a house. We torn up all the trees. We're cutting them down. We're eating food from the soil. Completely exploitive. That's the nature of Jivatmas. They do this. Okay? Now, who's the most exploitive of these fellows? So he has to be a Jivatma. And when he's included, it means we're talking Jivatma. Okay? So those who don't think this, they believe that Atmas don't exploit. There's also an implication. They believe we're not human beings at all. We're stones hanging around doing nothing. No. These 8 Charakaraka have 8 colors. Because you said your Atma is a small spark of light. And that light has a color. So each of these grahas has a color. The difference is only that Rahu is completely black, pitch black, which means darkness color. It's not no color, it's black. So when we include him, we have this color, black. Okay? What to do? How do we find the Atma Karaka? Consider the degrees and ignore the signs. The one who has highest degrees, regardless of the sign, is Atma Karaka. We'll get to the other Charakaraka soon. Since Rahu is always retrograde, the longitude of Rahu is considered from the end of the sign. The planet with the highest longitude is the Atma Karaka, as we mentioned. If 2 or more planets are in the same degree, then the minutes, and if in the same minutes, then the seconds have to be considered to determine the Atma Karaka. This is all right? Now, Madhya Keta and Antya Karaka. When there's a case, when 2 or more planets have the same degree, I'm not talking about minutes here, just the same degree, then the one with the higher minutes and seconds is the Atma Karaka. While the one with the lowest minutes is called the Antya Karaka. Antya. This is not the same as Amatya. Okay? Antya means end or last. You could have multiple at the same degree. Then you have Apakaraka. Then the one who's lowest in minutes would be Antyakaraka. Then you have one comes in between. These would be Madhyaketa. Madhya means middle. Okay? Like let's say 3 grahas same degree. One on top, one on bottom, one in middle. And these are all competing for that place of Atmakaraka. They're competing for it. You know this is Charakarak replacement. The other Charakaraka follow in the order of the decreasing longitudes of the planets. Now, when this happens, that there's these on the same degree, it's very painful. Because Atmakaraka is that which one you want to never change in your life. You don't like change. Have you ever thought about that? Atmakaraka in 8 is the worst placement because there's always changes over there. Everything is transforming. You want it to be a place where nothing is changing, stable, no change. Okay? Atmakaraka in 4th house. You don't want to leave the house you're staying in. Atmakaraka in 7th house. Partner changing here, there, no way. It cannot happen. It's not allowed. So wherever your Atmakaraka is, that is where you do not want change. You don't want change there. If there's Charakaraka replacement, it's a really huge change. And that's very painful for the soul. It's very painful. Because you have to change your whole view of who you are. From one direction to another. It's not easy. Okay? It causes, in case of this replacement, change in priorities. And you can have multiple grahas competing for that. It's not easy. Multiple grahas means you keep experiencing that. So, now, as you can see here, Atmakaraka is the sun. Any other grahas competing for that position? No. How about if you reverse the degrees of Rahu Ketu? Anybody? No? What? Because this is like 15 degrees, right? Okay. So who's next in line? Amatya Karaka?
Darakaraka and Jana.
Darakaraka and
Janakaraka. Should be
Yantikaraka.
Darakaraka.
Yes. And they're even in the same sign, right? Virgo. This is like a small planetary war over here. So there's some replacement going on in the priorities with regards to relationships and relatives. We call this relatives which are not mother, nor father, nor children, nor spouse. They're everybody else, cousins, uncles, you know, your nearest community, not direct relatives in the bloodline.
From fathers.
Both. My father and mother. Okay? So can you examine that in his life? Do you know if he made any major change in this area?
We have a Hindu here, he knows the story.
Kekeshi.
Change in relationship
Kekeshi. It's possible now.
with his parents.
How come?
Because when he was born, as his father was in
He was part
as
of
his
a
father was
certain
in
clan.
prison.
What was that clan called?
Yadavas.
Yadavas. The Yadavas used to live in Vrindavan, yes?
Yeah.
In fact, they were part of a larger clan. They moved. Where they moved to? Here, this entire clan moved
Yes.
to Dwarka
Dwarka, yes.
in the west of India.
Mm.
Gujarat.
Mm.
That's where Dwarka is. Then, after the Mahabharata, after a bunch of things, there was a lot of disagreement among the clan. There was a lot of disagreement. Finally, a huge fight occurred.
It's Castle.
It didn't happen immediately. Krishna and Balram, they had foreseen it, so they went to the beach in Gujarat. Or there was this place, a big, large beach area. They took everybody there, all the men of the family. And then, out of the blue, a huge argument started, and they started fighting each other. And they killed each other. The whole clan killed each other.
I heard the daughter was cursed.
Yeah, there's some reason for that.
And
The whole clan killed each other.
Mm.
And he had already before that renounced his entire clan. He renounced them, he said no. Once he had taken the men to that beach, he had ensured the entire families which had stayed back would travel back to Vrindavan, where they were supposed to stay. In fact, he went to, not to Vrindavan, Hastinapur. Okay? At this stage, he had already renounced his family and those relatives. Can you see this happen, this Jupiter Mercury? So this Charaka replacement, is that an easy thing? No, it's not. He had to see all those members of the family who had been growing up with die. They killed each other over an argument. Okay? Shortly after this, Balram and Krishna leave the world also, on top of that. So this is not an easy replacement. And this is not even Atmakaraka. Alright. So even Krishna had to deal with this. It's not small. You can see why, because the Ruda Lagna is here. So the Ruda Lagna is here with this replacement. Then when one graha becomes stronger or weaker, replaced or the other, then it means the Aruda itself is about to leave. It's about to go out. That's why it was the end of life. It was about to leave the world when this happened. He was ready to leave at will when this happened, because of this combination. Aruda is important. If your Aruda leaves, then you leave. Okay? So always check in a replacement which grahas are being replaced. So how will we do this? Mercury is the Gyati Karaka. It has higher minutes than Jupiter Darakaraka, right?
Mm.
So at some point, this Jupiter Darakaraka is going to replace Mercury Gyati Karaka, right? He's going to go and replace him. So then this Mercury has to fly free suddenly. He's no longer Gyati Karaka. Now what does Mercury lord in the chart? 2nd and 5th house. We know it has to do with clan or community or external family, not direct family. We know now it has to do with 2nd house, Kula, the family itself. And 5th house, some of the children of the family. Okay? Maybe his own children, some of them. And it lowers the Aruda Lagna. So then it's guaranteed, when this happens, when this replacement happens, then the Aruda also will leave. That's what happened. Within a very short period of time, in fact, if I'm right, just within a few days, he left his body himself. This happened. Okay?
And then Shukra comes to the place of Darakaraka.
We'll discuss how the replacement works. But understand this, what's happening first. Okay? It's as if Jupiter leaves the Darakarak position and becomes Gyatikarak. It will actually leave that position also. That's another issue. We'll discuss that. Now, here. What's his Atmakaraka?
Sun.
How
Sun.
many degrees?
24 degrees, 24
Any other
minutes.
grahas occupying that?
Yes.
Mars.
Who's
Jupiter.
next in line?
Jupiter.
Jupiter?
Jupiter.
24.
Yeah.
Then?
Then
Sun.
Shani
Shani
Mars,
Vatrikaraka, 24.
and Libra,
Mars.
Mars. and
Mars.
Venus.
Mars, 24. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, write them down. In that order, write them down. So Atmakaraka was Sun. Who was Antakaraka? The lowest one. Who's the
Mangal.
lowest one?
Mars.
Mangal.
Mangal is the lowest
Mangal,
one
yeah.
among them. Right? Antya. Antya. Not Amatya. Antya.
Should be there.
Jupiter's still not
No,
Antya.
it's Amatya.
It's Amatya. Antya Keta, the last one. We had from Sun to Mars. So Sun is the first one, Mars is the last one. The ones in between are Madhya. Right? So write Madhya next to them.
And last. Mars and there.
Mars is Antya. The two others, who are these two others? Jupiter and
Saturn.
Saturn, they become Madhya.
Saturn become Madhya.
Yeah. And
Madhya.
Atma Karaka is
Yes,
Sun.
Madhya.
Sun.
Sun. Madhya Karaka.
Mm.
Di or Dya?
Madhya.
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 Can I say Matrikaraka?
Hmm?
Matrikaraka
What about it?
for Mars.
It is, yes.
Not Mandikaraka.
No, the planet
The
in
one with the
between.
lowest minutes and seconds of arc is the Antyakaraka, among those with the same degree. This is the word.
Antya.
Yes. The ones in the middle are called Madhya Keta. It's
Yes.
any graha. Matrikaraka is which Karakaraka it is, but it becomes Madhya Keta. Madhya Keta. Madhya means middle. Matri means mother. That's a different thing. Antya means end. Amatya means minister. Two different words. Okay? So, who is Madhya Keta? Say the grahas again.
Jupiter and Saturn.
Jupiter and Saturn are Madhya Keta. Who is Antyakaraka?
Mars.
Mangala is Antyakaraka. Good. Now, make sure you also write the Charakarakas next to them. Because according to this, Sun is Atmakaraka, Jupiter is Amatya, and Saturn is Bhatri, and Mars is Matri. We will use this too. We also have to use this. It's important. I'm going to play a bit around with this chart. Now principle. No, we'll wait for principle. First we'll do the replacement. So, first Sun is Atmakaraka. How is Sun placed?
It's in
Second
Maranakaraka.
come,
It's
Maranakaraka.
Lord of 11th.
11th Lord in 12th house is a fantastic yoga for Libra Lagna. Because it means
Padakeshana.
you will, Badakesh in
Yes.
12th.
Padakeshana.
So because the person is supposed to overcome all Badak. But Mercury and Ketu are there, so it's not so good for them. So Mercury suffers. So 9th Lord is there. Ketu is suffering, 2nd Lord. So there can be some problems. He used to work in government first. His focus was government career. The career itself was very good, but financially it was troublesome. And he was traveling a lot. He was never home. Yeah. Who becomes the next Atmakaraka?
Mars.
Jupiter.
First Jupiter. Right?
But the lower degrees is Mars?
He is lowest.
Lowest is.
But there's Jupiter first.
Yeah, it's in order. Right?
Yeah. This Mars fellow will come last. Absolute last will be Mars.
In the meanwhile.
What is happening then? First Jupiter becomes Atmakaraka. Let's see Jupiter. What's Jupiter doing in the chart?
It's in the 10th house.
Exalted. Superb. Suddenly decides, Jupiter Atmakaraka in 10th house. I must do something very good for society. I must learn something important. Jupiter, learning. Learning is important. I must study, become academically very sound. Jupiter likes to learn traditional subjects. So, what does he do? He becomes an astrologer. or rather he learns astrology, he starts learning astrology. In the meantime, Saturn has become Amatya Karaka. Saturn went from Bratri Karaka to Amatya Karaka.
Everybody's moving.
Everybody's
One step-
moving,
one
shift.
step forward.
Exactly.
And what's
So does it
happening
mean
with sun?
Surya has become Matrikaraka then?
The sun has exited the chart.
Oh, it's like
Exit.
He cannot go any further.
Mm.
So that sun Atma Karaka left.
And what about the spare place for Matri?
Yes, let's see. Sun left, Jupiter became Atma Karaka. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to write them down in order. It's very important to get the order. Then Saturn became Amatya Karaka. Then Mars left the Matri Karaka position and became Bratri Karaka. And the one who's left out is Matri Karaka. He's empty. Right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Mother dies. Why does mother die? The Stira Karaka, Naisargika Karaka, for this place has to be strong. So, Matri Karaka. Who is Karaka for mother? Moon.
Sargika? Moon.
Naisargika's moon. We use
Moon.
Naisargika. How's moon placed in this chart?
Ascendant.
Well, the ascendant. Not bad.
Not bad.
Rudra Yoga.
Maravaraka.
Rudra Yoga. Moon is on ascendant. It's okay, but Mars and Venus are joined. Blood pressure, issues like that. Okay? So this is not easy for mother. This Rudra Yoga. Mother will suffer from heart problems, heart palpitations. Eventually she did leave because of this.
Because of Mars-Venus conjunct.
Yes. She was also old. But it had to happen around this time.
My Matrikarika
Uh,
also fell,
the
my
Chinese-
mother died.
What?
My Matrikarika fell and my mother died.
The moon is not strong to sustain. It can be difficult.
But there should be some ages, huh?
Yes, there is an age. When I do, there's a certain Kendradi Dasha, then we do these ages. Okay. That was the first step. Okay? Now it's going to happen again, another shift is going to happen. So, first Sun was Atma Karaka and it left. Now then Jupiter became Atma Karaka, it will also leave. Saturn is now going to become Atma Karaka. Mars is going to become Amatya Karaka. Now, not only Matri Karaka, but Bratri Karaka is left empty. Bratri Karaka Karaka is Mars itself. Is Mars strong in the chart? It's not a big problem. It's joined to benefics. Moon is the problem, not Mars. Okay? So, this means Bratri Karaka brothers, there's no problem. I mean, there's a shift, but there's not a big problem. They stay alive, they sustain. But Saturn has become Atma Karaka. How is Saturn in this chart?
It's in the third house.
How is
Ascendant.
what does third house signify? What does it show?
Battles, fights.
Which one?
Battles and fights.
Sixth house is more.
Communication.
Communication, yes.
Writing.
What else?
Writing.
yes.
Brothers.
Brothers, yes, yes. All right, younger brothers. Then
As he said, hands.
hands, yes. Then
Mm.
something much more important.
12 house from the 4th house.
Neighbor. Okay, then what?
Upadesh.
Upadesha is much more important from third house.
Upadesh.
How do you think Saturn is for Upadesha? Wherever Saturn is, it'll be destroyed. Saturn's house is Marana Karakastana from him,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So he had a guru during this time who he learned Jyotish from. What's going to happen this time?
Gonna fall.
He leaves his guru. Atma Karaka became Saturn. Saturn is here. He left his guru.
But also
What
Bratri
happened?
Karaka place hasn't.
What is
really
Guru?
left-
PV? No.
Vivi Raman was his guru. He left him.
When the Saturn Dasha comes.
Who is this Raman? The big Raman?
Baby Raman.
Yes.
But it is another
But this guy is born in 30,
Don't ask me about Dasha.
Yeah, he was a
He's
also-
student of him.
a student of
Yes, this was P.V. Raman's student. He was having a Jupiter Atma Karaka in 10th, was exalted. Huge ideals, successful, Jyotish career, traditional subjects, all these things, writing, books. Then this Saturn came up, he left him just like that. It's even in Sagittarius, just to be sure he didn't forget spiritual master also. It's not good.
The natural ninth house.
So the last stage, Batrakaraka becomes Mercury. If the Mars
No,
Karaka.
Karaka. Yes, yes. So who becomes Patrikaraka? Nasargika Patrikaraka. Who signifies brother? Mars.
Yes.
So this becomes Mars.
Mars again Mars.
But Patrikaraka is Mars, Patrikaraka moon.
Because Mars shifted to Amatya Karaka, the last stage.
Yes, so this stays as Mars. That's why no big problem really. No changing. Last stage. Saturn leaves the chart. Who will become Atmakaraka?
Mars.
Mars. Now Mars is in Lagna, so this is his new Atmakaraka. What do you think the focus of his life is now? Self, fame, name, reputation, self-knowledge, yoga, meditation maybe, hopefully. Venus, Mars, Venus, yoga.
So what happens now?
There's not
Matrikaraka
the
Mars
words with yoga.
shifted to
I'm sorry?
becoming Atmakaraka.
Yes. So,
So
Mars
what-
becomes Atmakaraka. So who will be Amatya Karaka?
Chandra.
Jupiter.
Natural.
Jupiter. So right. Here are the natural significators for the Charakarakas. Sun is Atmakaraka. Jupiter Amatya Karaka. Mars Bhatrikaraka. Moon Matrikaraka. Sun Pitrikaraka. Jupiter Putrakaraka. So two. Jupiter comes twice. Keti Karaka is Mercury. And Darakaraka is Venus. If there's replacement and the slot is left open, see that Karaka. If it's weak, the person may not survive. If it's afflicted, same thing. This affects the longevity of that person. It does. It does.
Should be there support to Magaraka. Should be there support at Magaraka.
Amatya.
Sun is
Atma.
Pitri. Putra. Did we have Putra?
Guru.
Jupiter
Uttarakaraka is
and Mercury. Venus. And what happened in this situation when there is like Sun left, so it's nowhere in the chart, so this part of his soul, let's say Sun is...
The direction is changing, but the sun will still act as Atmakaraka in other divisional charts. But the direction changes. It's like changing priorities. You move to a different direction. First he was focused on this, government job. Then he became career Jyotisha. Then he left his guru, started lots of writing of books. So many books became written because of this. And he came to here. No more books, no more of this, but he's still going to conferences. And there's a lot of fame building, if you can call it. He's not a PR.
Mother died.
Yes,
Why?
yes. That's because Matrikaraka was left open.
Yes.
Who has to occupy this place? Moon. Moon is over here. He's showing Venus and Mars. This is Rudra Yoga for Moon.
So not the direction, also the relatives can be
Don't jump,
affected.
Relatives, when a Charakaraka leaves its position, the relative is very sensitive. Very. May not survive if the Naisargika Karaka, which I mentioned now, is afflicted or weak. To be sure, we should see things like 4th from Moon, Lord is Saturn, Saturn is 3rd house. So it's not young age, it's a good age it happens.
Nature, maybe.
Yeah, maybe naturally.
Maybe just showing the time.
Yes.
And when did he leave himself?
He's still around.
Oh, I thought it's the other one who left.
Who?
He's
His guru, yes. His guru. Okay.
Is he some kind of relative with Narasimha?
No.
No.
I think it's a very common name.
Rahul is a common, yes.
Like Sharma, there must be like 100 million of you.
100 million.
But how can we estimate the time then? When
We
is
won't
it?
do that now. I know, Mutlu, I know. Every time, it's time. Don't worry. First we have to get the chart, then we'll talk about timing. This is the chart. Timing, we'll get to. Then we talk of Karakadashas. Okay. Tasya anusarana
Tasya
Anusarana.
adamatya.
Adamatya.
The one graha with second highest degrees is declared the minister. Amatya Karaka. Its relationship with the 10th house defines your career. Similarly, Atmakarka's relationship with the Lagna defines if you'll be king. Emperors have that. Atmakarka associated with Lagna. In Rashi Nahamsha. Could also be queen, of course. Tasya Bhrata.
Tasya Brata.
The planet with the third highest longitude among the 7 or 8 planets is declared to be the Pratrikaraka, the significant of siblings and spiritual master. Third from Pratrikaraka is siblings. 9th from Pratrikaraka is Guru. Tasya Mata.
Tasya Mata.
The one with 4th highest degrees is the Matrikaraka. It signifies your mother. Internal happiness comes from Matrikaraka. You are happy and truly if Matrikaraka blesses you. It gives Bhakti Yoga. True Bhakti comes from Matrikaraka. Its relationship with 4th house defines your relationship with mother. Its relationship with the Atmakaraka defines your happiness. Its relationship with 4th from Atmakaraka defines your comfort. Note this down. Because that's important. Tasya Pita,
Tasya Pita.
the graha with 5th highest longitude, is the Pitrikaraka. It signifies father. It represents the Pitris. Who are the first Pitris? Rishis. So this is your Rishi, Pitrikaraka. So everybody was thinking, Pitrikaraka, my father. The Rishis. If your Atmakaraka has a strong connection to Pitrikaraka, your genes are very strong. You have very strong genes. Very strong genes. Your genetic makeup is very strong.
Gene.
Associated with Atmakaraka.
Genetic.
Very strong genes. This gives also very strong sexuality. Because your genetical makeup is strong, it means you can have many children. Yes.
Grow the lineage.
Yes. This person is very good for having children.
Very good father.
Break.
Doing.
Oh.
Let's go back to break. Take a break.
Doing.
33 minutes.
Yeah, open it.
I'm just going.
This?